Aleix Espargaro has been instrumental in transforming the Aprilia from a bike that no one really wanted to ride to one of the most competitive bikes on the grid. But as per yesterday's announcement, he has now announced his retirement at the end of 2024. So let's have a look who's on the shortlist to replace him and how likely each one of those are to do so. So first on the list is Enea Bastianini. He currently rides for the Factory Ducati team. With an injury-stricken 2023, he is more competitive in 2024, but could he be getting the elbow from the Factory Ducati outfit anyway to make room for somebody else? Bastianini is still a very, very strong rider. As I say, he got extremely unlucky last year with a lot of injuries that took a lot of time to heal, and it sort of curtailed his 2023 season, really. Bastianini has been linked to the Tech 3 Gas team, but he has also been in negotiations with Aprilia. You could argue that Aprilia would gain a hell of a lot from nicking a Factory Ducati rider to go into their factory team, and it would also look really good to have an Italian on an Italian bike. In my opinion, Enea Bastianini is one of the most likely to move, subject to other riders moving as well. It depends what happens with other riders, depends if Bastianini would end up at Aprilia. Next on the list, we have Jorge Martin. Jorge Martin had a fantastic 2023. His 2024 is also looking extremely strong thus far. He's made no bones about wanting a full factory Ducati, and whether or not Ducati will give it to him remains to be seen. But if his nose has been put out of joint by not being promoted to the factory team for this year, for 2024, I could see how it'd be very easy for him to go and take the factory Aprilia ride. It's known to be a competitive package, bearing in mind that Martin is actually a Ducati contracted rider rather than contracted to Pramac directly. The money he's on is pretty decent, and I'm sure Aprilia will be able to do something in terms of money as well. Again, I would say that Martin is one of the most likely people to end up in this seat, depending on what happens with the factory Ducati seat. I would say if Bastianini gets the elbow, Martin will get promoted to the factory seat, whereas if they decide they want to keep Bastianini, Martin, I would think, would probably go to Aprilia. Next on the list, Jack Miller. So Jack Miller's contract with the Factory KTM team is up at the end of 2024. Although the KTM management seem to like him, Jack has not been delivering the results that maybe would be expected of somebody in his position. I think Jack's a great rider. I think he's a great guy, very affable kind of guy. I just think that, bearing in mind Pedro Acosta is all but going to get the factory seat next year, I think he'll find himself being elbowed out. I don't see them getting rid of Brad Binder. I think Jack would be the one that would go. Let's not forget that Jack has experience of a lot of different bikes, and I think that he could really help to continue to develop the Aprilia and move it forward. Let's not forget he has been with Factory Ducati. He has been on the CRT Honda and the private Honda back in the day as well. And obviously he's been on a factory KTM, so I can see how experience of all of these different bikes could be very valuable to somebody like Aprilia looking to continue to develop their bike. I understand that Jack has been offered a role at Tech 3 Gas, which is again on a factory bike, but he turned down Ducati in 2023 to do for a similar arrangement. So basically, for him to go back to Pramac, he turned them down and went to a work deal at KTM. So I could see how, if he gets the elbow from KTM, and if Aprilia want him, he could more than likely end up there. I would rank this move as slightly less likely than Martin and Bastianini, but it would not be beyond the realms of possibility. If Martin and Bastianini either do a straight swap, so Bastianini to Pramac and Martin to the factory team, or they both hold station on where they are, I could see this move being the next most likely. Let's talk Miguel Oliveira. I would say this is probably the next most likely move, bearing in mind he is already an Aprilia rider, riding for their private or second string or satellite, whatever you want to call it, Trackhouse Aprilia team. He is contracted directly to Aprilia, and he has won 5 MotoGP races. He would maybe be somebody to complement Maverick, rather than someone that's going to lead a team and help to continue to develop the bike, in my opinion. Let's not forget that Oliveira has the same factory machinery as Espargaro and Vinales this year, and so far he hasn't been as strong as people were expecting him to be. So has he done enough so far this year to earn a promotion to the factory team? Personally, I can see him staying where he is for another couple of years. I don't see him getting moved up, not through lack of talent or lack of ability. I just don't think he would be the right fit for what that team would be looking for. I feel like Aprilia would be looking for someone to continue to lead the team. They want someone that's going to bring some experience, a bit of development direction, and still be able to challenge for podiums and wins where they can. So I would rank Oliveira as one of the less likely people to end up in that seat. Another person worth looking at is Marco Bezzecchi. So Bez is a VR46 Academy rider, and Bez is in the VR46 team. However, let's not forget that Luca Marini left this team at the end of 2023 to go to a factory Honda. Now, could Bez do exactly the same thing if he doesn't get better equipment where he is? Let's not forget that both the VR46 bikes are 1 year old Ducati bikes, so he's on a 2023 Ducati this year. So if it continues into 2025 and beyond, could Bez get a bit cheese off for this and decide he deserves more? He had a great year in 2023. His 2024 has not been quite so good so far, but I could see how Aprilia may want him. Again, young, Italian, and can put in decent results. I would rank this as probably about as likely as Oliveira going there, if I'm being dead honest. But let me know in the comments down below. And those are 5 options as to who could be likely to take Aleix Espargaro's seat once he retires at the end of the year. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you think do you think I've made some good points? Do you think that I'm right, wrong? Let me know who you think is going to be most likely to take this seat in the comments down below. If you like this kind of content, give it a like. Consider subscribing. The likes and stuff is kind of how I decide what kind of content to look to do next. So the stuff you like is the stuff you're likely to see more of.